Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Algebra Team. My name is Mr. Leffelholtz. Today is Unit 4, Lesson 5. We are doing standard form graphing. All right, so we have done equations in standard form and been able to solve for the variables, etc. So today we're going to graph from standard form. All right, so from a little bit of a review here quick. Okay, so last time we were at the fair, we were given $30 to go to the fair. Rides cost $6 each and games cost $2 each. We drew up a table like such. If I did 0 rides, I could then play 15 games because I have $30. 15 games times $2 each makes my $30. If I don't do any games, if I do 0 games on the bottom of the table, that means I have all of my money for rides, which means I could do 5 rides because 5 times $6 each makes $30. Okay, then there's the various points in between. So we know how to do that. We know how to make a table, and we know how to graph those points. All right, so over here, we have, if I do 0 games, I would get 5 rides, like was at the bottom of the table. And at the top of the table, we had, if I do 0 rides, I am out here at 15 games. Okay, and then in between, you can see here, if I do 2 rides, I can do 9 games, etc. And we can do that. Okay, now what we're going to do today, we're going to graph. We don't need all those in between points. All we really need are the x and y intercept. We only need these 2 points right here. That one up there, 5 rides and 0 games, and this one down here, 0 rides and 15 games. Because it's a straight line, all I got to do then is take a ruler and draw my line, and I'm done. Okay, so we're going to easily be able to go through this today. All right, now the way we find those 2 points looks like this. Okay, so this was our original equation. 6R, R means the number of rides. So 6R, 6 times $6 per ride, means that 6R is the total cost of just the rides. The 2G is the total cost of just the games, G being the number of games, 2 being $2 each. All right, and then we had $30. Now, if we want to find those 2 endpoints, it's going to look something like this. If I want to know what's the number of rides I can do if I do 0 games, well, then I'm going to look at my second level there. All I need is 6R equals 30. I basically just eliminate the 2G. Why? Because G equals 0, and 0 times 2 is just 0. So I don't need to put a plus 0 in here. So 6R equals 30. That gives me the intercept on the rides axis. Whichever way I line up my graph, whichever axis has rides, this is where it's going to cross. Okay? And then we found that 6 times 5 makes 30. So R equals 5 is our intercept. All right? On the other side, if I want to know when I do 0 rides down here at the bottom, well, all I do is eliminate the 6R because 6 times 0 is 0. So 2G equals 30. And we found then we divide both sides by 2, and we find that G equals 15, meaning I get 15 games when I do 0 rides. Okay, and so we can set up all of our equations like this when we have 2 variables on the same side, and we're just going to find the intercepts. Okay, so we're gonna make one variable equal to 0, set it equal to 0, and find the other variable. Okay, that's going to give us one intercept. Then we go the other way. We take the other variable, set it equal to 0, and find the first one. Okay, that gives us our 2 intercepts. So here, if I have 3x plus 5y equals 15, what are my 2 equations I'm going to use? Well, one of my equations will be 3x equals 15, and the other one will be 5y equals 15. 3x plus 15 gives me the x-intercept, y disappears, or y equals 0. Okay, and 5y equals 15 gives me the y-intercept because x equals 0. All right, same thing here. If I don't even need x's and y's, as long as I label my axes properly on my graph. Okay, so here, if I want to find out where the a-intercept is, then I just say 2a equals 32. If I want to find out where the b-intercept is, then I say 4b equals 32. All right, so that's all I have to do there. Now, we'll find those numbers later. I'm just setting up the equations for now. Okay, so this last one, this one's even easier because it actually gives me the intercept. If I get rid of the y, if I set y equals 0, my equation is just x equals 12. which means 12 is my intercept, my x-intercept. X equals 12, x-intercept 12. All right, my other equation would be 3y equals 12. So that's a little bit tougher. That just means, though, that I divide both sides by 3 and I get y equals 4. My y-intercept is 4. Okay, so that is what we're doing today. Now, this last one here, okay, 3a equals 18 if I get rid of the b. But the other one, now I have a negative sign here. I have a minus sign. I'm subtracting. The minus sign stays with the negative 2b. Okay, it doesn't disappear. If I set a equal to 0, what I'm left with is minus 2b. Okay, so then I would have minus 2b equals 18, and then I would have to divide both sides by negative 2. So I can get a negative intercept. That also works. All right, so let's switch to notes here. Okay. All right, so let me show you. Here's what our notes would look like. This is Algebra 1, Unit 4, Lesson 5, Standard Form Graphing. I can graph a linear function in standard form. Okay, so we're going to list the steps here real quick. This is pretty easy. We're only going to have 3 steps. All right, so step 1. Let me get to the right camera here. All right. Step 1 is, sorry, I got to get in the right spot in my notes. Okay, 3 steps. All right. Graphing steps to graph a linear function from standard form. Whoops, I can't spell. Function from linear form. All right. Steps to graph a linear function or a linear function from standard form. Number 1, find one intercept by setting the other variable equal to 0. Okay, find one intercept by setting the other variable equal to 0. So if I have x and y, I'm going to set x equal to 0 to find the y-intercept. Okay, in other words, x equals 0 finds the y-intercept. Okay, step 2, find the other intercept by setting the first variable equal to 0. Okay, which means y equals 0 finds the x-intercept. Okay, now again, it's not always x's and y's. It doesn't matter which one you choose first either. You're going to pick one, set it equal to 0 to find the other intercept, and then you switch. Set the other one equal to 0 and go the other way. Okay, last one is, those give you your points, which means then you graph your intercepts, and then all you got to do is draw a line through the points. Okay, those are your 3 steps. Draw a line through the points is the 3rd step. Okay, now this is pretty simple. Okay, now I'm going to go back and forth. I actually have graph paper here. You can see that there. Okay, so we're going to go back and forth a little bit. So our first example today, example 1 says we're going to graph the equation 5x plus 2y equals 10. Okay, now we're just going to follow our steps. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so step 1, we're going to set x equal to 0. Okay, so if I set x equal to 0, that means this is 0. This 5x just disappears because 5 times 0 is 0. So all we're left with is 2y equals 10. All right, and then all I got to do is divide by 2, and that gets me y equals 5. Okay, so my point on my graph is x equals 0, y equals 5. That is a point on my graph. Okay, now, obviously, hopefully we know that means 0, 5. That's one of my intercepts. Okay, step 2, set y equal to 0. All right, so if I set y equals 0, that means this piece disappears, so I'm left with 5x equals 10. Okay, so 5x equals 10. Of course, then I have to find, whoops, let me get on the screen there. Okay, then I have to find x. So 5 is multiplied, so I do the opposite. I divide, and I have to divide both sides, which means x equals 2. Okay, so now my point is x equals 2, y equals 0. X equals 2, y equals 0. That means the point on the graph is 2, 0. All right, now all I got to do is go to my graph paper, graph those 2 points. So we have 0, 5. Well, 0, 5 is 0 is my x. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, like so. And then 2, 0. 2, 0 is 2 over and 0 up right there. And then all I got to do is take my ruler and connect the dots. And that's my line. Okay, so if you have an equation in standard form, set one variable equal to 0, solve. Set the other variable equal to 0, solve. That gives you your 2 intercepts. Put the 2 dots down, connect. Done. All right. Okay, so you can see here, I'm going to do this on the same page, actually. Okay, so I'm going to do this on the page. So this time we have 3x minus 2y equals 6. Okay, so step 1. Now I've already made the graph, and you can see this graph must be down here because that's the spot I left open. Okay, so step 1, we're going to set, I'm just going to do them in the other order this time. So I'm going to set y equal to 0 because the order doesn't matter. If I set y equal to 0, that means this piece disappears, so I have 3x equals 6. 3x equals 6, which means divide by 3, x equals 2. So the point on my graph is x equals 2, y equals 0. 2, comma, 0. All right, then I go to the next step. Set x equal to 0. We already did y, now we're going to do x. Okay, so if I set x equals 0, that means this piece disappears, but the negative sign stays. Negative sign stays. So this time we have negative 2y equals 6. So again, I divide by the coefficient. So minus 2 divide by minus 2, like so. On the left side, negative 2 divided by negative 2 leaves me 1y. And 6 divided by negative 2, well, 6 divided by 2 is 3. I have a positive divided by a negative, so it's negative 3. Okay, so this gives me the point 0 for x, negative 3 for y. Okay, so I put those 2 points over on my graph. I have 2, 0, 2, 0. Same point as up here in the other one. But now I have 0, negative 3, 0, negative 3. All right, and again, all I got to do is connect the dots. Okay, and there's my graph. Okay, pretty quick and easy, right? So always work from the equation to make the graph. So you'll see in your homework, it's going to give you a graph of a line, okay, and you have to, it actually gives you 4 lines in the homework. You have to match it with the right equation. Well, take the equations and find the 2 intercepts, and then match them up with the graphs. All right, now I'm going to skip ahead to example number 4 because example number 4 fits on this same sheet of paper. Example number 3 had a couple graphs on it, so I didn't want to do that one. All right, so example number 4 says we have, okay, on the screen there, example number 4 says we have dimes. Dimes are, of course, worth $0.10. And we have quarters, which are worth $0.25. And we have $1. All right, so when we do this, this is all about choosing the right variables that make sense for the equation. Okay, so since we're doing dimes, we're going to say dimes is D. We're going to say quarters is Q. And then all we have to do is the total money I have in dimes is, well, 0.10. Okay, so it's going to be 0.10 times D. All right. And our money in quarters is going to be the number of quarters times 0.25. So it's going to be 0.25 cubed. All right. And then our total money is $1. So what we do is just take these two here, add them up, make $1. So 0.10D plus 0.25 Q equals 1. Okay. Pretty easy, simple equation. Now, yes, it has decimals, but you know quarters and you know dimes. You know how many quarters go into $1. You know how many dimes go into $1, right? So let's look at this. So we're going to start graphing, of course. So we can start with either D or Q. I'm just going to start with D because it's first. So we're going to set D equal to 0. Find the Q intercept, if you want to call it that. All right. So the quarter intercept. If I have no dimes, how many quarters do I have to make $1? Now I don't even have to do math, right? How many quarters go into $1? Well, it's 4. So Q must be 4. Okay. Sometimes just use common sense. We can get that without having to do decimals and all that stuff. Okay. All right. So let's say we have 0 quarters. How many dimes? Okay. This is going to be our D intercept, if you want to call it that. All right. Well, if I don't have any quarters, how many dimes make $1? Well, that's going to be 10. So D must be 10. Okay. Now you can spend your time doing mathematically if you have to, but you know money, I hope, right? How many nickels are in $1? How many pennies in $1? That kind of stuff. All right. So if quarters is 4, if D equals 0, quarters is 4. So if I look at this graph, now I have to label. This is not an automatic X and Y thing. Okay. So I have to label my graph. I have to put dimes down here, quarters over here. I can do the other way if you want, and I'll show you that on the next problem. But because I have more space side to side, okay, that's why quarters, which gets me the smaller number 4 as opposed to 10. Okay, so that's why I'm labeling it this way. So if I have 0 dimes, then I have 4 quarters. And if I have 0 quarters, I have 10 dimes. Those are my 2 intercepts. And again, all I got to do is connect the dots. And there's my line. Okay, so my equation for this was 0.10D plus 0.25Q equals 1. All right, so if you guys want a screenshot, there's one screenshot for you if you need it. That's the first 2 examples. All right, the second screenshot would be here. Okay, examples 2 and 4. I'm going to do 3 next because that's on my next page of graph paper. Okay, all right, so looking at our last example, which is actually number 3. Okay, so this time we're doing burgers and drinks, and it's going to look a lot like rides and, okay, it's going to look a lot like our rides and games problems. All right, so example 3. Let me get the blue one. Okay, example 3. Drinks are $2. Okay, burgers are $6. You have $24. Okay, so we're going to graph. We're going to write an equation and we're going to make a graph. So the first thing is, what's my variable for drinks? Well, drink starts with D, so we're going to use D for drinks. Burger starts with B, so we're going to have B for burgers. Now, how much is the cost of all my drinks combined? Well, it's $2 times D, which means 2D. Okay, sorry, that's supposed to be an arrow. That means implies or next step. All right. Okay, burgers, $6 each times B. So the total cost of burgers is 6B. All I got to do is add these 2 numbers to make 24. 2D plus 6B equals 24. All right, now I'm going to do the same steps we did before. So first I'm going to start with 0 drinks. Okay, so step 1, D equals 0, 0 drinks. How many burgers can I buy? All right, which means 6B then equals 24. Okay, All right, so if 6b equals 24, then I got to divide by 6, and we get b, the number of burgers would be 4 burgers. Okay, so 4 burgers, 0 drinks. 4 burgers, 0 drinks. That is one of the points on my graph. All right, the other one would be if I do 0 burgers. So b equals 0. If b equals 0, then this piece disappears. We have 2d equals 24. So 2d equals 24. And again, I got to get rid of the 2 coefficients. So I divide by 2 on both sides. And that gives us d equals 12. Okay, so this one tells me if I have 0 burgers, then I have 12 drinks. All right, so these are the 2 points I'm going to graph. Now, you're going to see here, I've actually set up 2 graphs. Okay, one has burgers on the left, drinks on the bottom. The other one has drinks on the left, burgers on the bottom. They are going to represent the exact same equation. Okay, it's just all we did was switch which one's on which axis. So it depends, it might depend on how much space you have. If you have more space horizontally, then you put the bigger numbers down here on the bottom. If you have more space vertically, then you're going to go the other way. All right, so the first one I've got 0 drinks, 4 burgers. 0 drinks, 4 burgers. Well, 0 drinks is here. 4 burgers is up 4. There's our spot. Okay. All right, then we have 0 burgers, 12 drinks. Okay, so 0 burgers, 12 drinks. That's way over here. And again, get out the ruler. And straight line. All right, so that's one graph. Now you're going to see the other graph looks similar. Okay, I mean, it's a straight line, so they can only be so different, right? But now if I graph it this way, again, I'm doing 0 drinks, 4 burgers. Well, 0 drinks means I'm here. 4 burgers means I'm going to the right. And the other one, 0 burgers, 12 drinks, means I go up this way. And there is my graph. Okay. Now, because of labeling, okay, they look very different, but it's because of the way I label my graph. Now, notice they both go down. All right. Meaning the more drinks I have, the fewer burgers I have. The more burgers I have, the fewer drinks I have. So both of them go down because of that. Okay. But that's really all we've got. That's really the similar, and they're both straight lines. Okay. So this one is all about labeling. You can do it either way. Okay. But just make sure that you label it properly when you're not using X and Y. Normally X and Y is our default graph. Okay. But when you're not labeling just X and Y, then make sure you label correctly: burgers versus drinks, miles per hour versus kilometers per hour, that kind of stuff. Okay. All right. So again, just to recap, okay, steps to graph a linear function. Okay. No matter what the function is, we make the equation. So here we have 5x plus 2y equals 10. We set one of the variables equal to 0, solve for the other one. Then we switch. We set the other one equal to 0 and solve for the first. That gives us 2 points on the graph. Then we just put those 2 points down, draw a line, we're done. Okay, so if they give you 4 lines to match, find the intercepts to match them up. Find the intercepts mathematically and match them up with the graphs on your homework. Okay, all right, that's all we've got for today, everybody. Thanks again, and good luck to everybody. We'll see you next time with the Algebra Team.